All right, good evening, everybody, and welcome to Christmas Eve at Free. Yeah. So I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here at Free. This is Noel Holskin, our community director here at Free, and it is so good to be with you all tonight to celebrate Christmas Eve. Welcome to all of you online people, all of you joining us from wherever, whatever state you're joining us. We're glad you're part of this community. We hope you feel at home here tonight because you are part of us. We are a part of you. Now, if you don't know, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. And y'all do know there is one thing we don't do here at Free, and on a count of three, I want you to shout it out, all four words, loud enough for the online people to hear you. 1, 2, 3. We don't do shame in this community. And they meant it tonight.
They were not playing around over there.
Not playing around at all. All right, y'all. Noel, tell us a couple of things that are coming up.
Oh, I would love to. If it is your first night here, welcome. We're so glad you're here with us this evening. Just so y'all know, there are welcome bags right outside this door right here and right outside that door tonight as well. They have a little bit about what we do here at Free Spiritual Community, a little bit of fresh roasted Wagon Coffee. For those of you who aren't familiar, Tammy Candlelight owns and runs Wagon Coffee, which is an on-site coffee roastery. So if you have coffee in your cups tonight, that is a Wagon Coffee. So some fresh roasted Wagon Coffee in there. And there's just some great swag items. So please grab a welcome bag on your way out and just know that we're so grateful to have you all here tonight. This is our last service of 2022. Woo-wee. Because next Saturday we are taking a rest week.
Yes.
And we take 2 of these a year. Usually one's in July and then one is in December. So next week we will not be having a service and we are going to take an intentional week of rest. So do not come next Saturday. It'll be awkward. No one will be here.
We'll be awkward.
It'll be
really outside. It'll be cold. And we
really
always
cold.
do it the Saturday after Christmas, just so y'all know. Saturday after Christmas and then a week in the summer.
Yep, absolutely. So next week, rest week, but we are kicking off January strong. In January, we are kicking off a 4-week series on the gifts of imperfection. It's going to be playing off Brené's Brown book, The Gifts of Imperfection.
Raise your hand if you've read The Gifts of Imperfection.
There's a lot more
for those of
people.
you without your hand up, you need to get this book and read it. It will, you'll love it.
Yep, and you also need to come to our book study if you haven't read this. So we'll also be doing a 5-week book study on the gifts of imperfection. Where's Abby? Is Abby out there? There's Abby. Abby's going to be leading the book study with me. So it'll be on Tuesday nights in this room. We'll be back on those couches 6 to 7 Tuesday nights, 5 Tuesdays in January. So for the first week in January 3rd, please read the first 40 pages of the Gifts of Imperfection, but it'll be great to have a book study again.
Yes, it will. Thank you all for leading that.
Yep, and a 4-week series on the Gifts of Imperfection throughout the July.
So we'll see you in January.
But
stick around for Christmas Eve. Don't leave yet.
Okay,
thank you, Noel.
You're so welcome.
All right, y'all. We're going to begin tonight with a letter to your addiction. Our very own Carrie McMullen, she's our home team lead here. She recently filmed this letter, and it's a powerful one. I want you all to take a look.
My name is Carrie. My sobriety date is October 25th, 2016, and this is a letter to my addiction. Dear addiction, remember me? I'm that sad little girl you found scared and alone. The one from the broken home who wasn't loved in just the right way. The one begging for acceptance and searching for where she belonged. The one who would sell her soul for just a moment of relief. The one who needed the pain to end, but didn't know how. The one who thought that God had abandoned her. You came to me disguised as a friend. You told me that everyone was doing it. It was all just harmless fun. Maybe it was at first. Maybe it was for them. You made me drop my childhood friends for those cooler kids who understood. You made graduating from that alternative high school my only option. You changed the price of admission, and then you made me steal. Police cars, jail cells, nothing could keep me away from you. Every day, you took me further and further away from myself. You blurred out my 20s, while I surrounded myself with others who were just like me. You told me I wasn't that bad. You always pushed more and more. But with you, more is never enough. Somehow within my chaos, I found a love worth fighting for, someone who made me feel safe. Despite your influence, we married, then welcomed twins into this world. With you as my master, being a wife was hard. Being the mother my kids deserved was impossible. You convinced me that the mommy wine culture was the only way. Trading my memories of their childhood for your solution was no longer a choice. Over and over you'd whisper, "This time will be different. One more won't hurt." You said I'd be boring without you, that no one would want me around. You worked until you didn't. When I saw another mother die, I knew I didn't want to be like her. Her addiction won. Her kids are now alone. I knew I couldn't let you do the same to mine, but I knew I couldn't conquer you alone. We both know I tried. At first, my voice was just a whisper, but it was loud enough to ask for help. On October 25th, 2016, I met a woman who openly shared her story with me. She freely offered her experience, strength, and hope. I believed her when she said she found a way out. She led me to a power greater than myself. One day at a time, she led me further and further away from you. Without you, I had to learn how to live life on life's terms, how to smile, how to laugh, how to be present for my kids. Without you, I had to learn to forgive, how to grow up and leave the past where it belongs. Most importantly, I had to learn to love myself. It was something you never let me do. I've accepted that a part of you will always be with me. Some days I hear your whisper enticing me to come back, telling me I'm making too big a deal out of this whole thing, begging me to stay silent and not share my story, trying to shame me into believing that I don't deserve the life I have today. I do want to thank you, though. I can see now that you have actually given me quite the gift. You brought me to God. You gave me a purpose. Today, I've found that love, belonging, and acceptance I have been searching for my whole life. Today, I have the privilege of showing up for my recovery community. Today, I am a mother my kids deserve. You cannot keep me silent anymore. It may not always be easy, but today I'm doing my part to help break the silence of addiction.
Woo! Thank you, Carrie, for sharing that letter with us. Powerful stuff, isn't it? It's the stuff we get to celebrate here. Speaking of celebrate, it's how we begin here at Free Spiritual Community on a Saturday night. We start with celebrations. We celebrate, we lift up the good stuff. We start with gratitude. We start with what we have. So that's why we start with celebrations. So we take 3 minutes for this part of the service. Darren will pass around a mic, and Rashad will pass around a mic. Does Rashad have his mic? If you have something to celebrate, maybe it's a sobriety anniversary, maybe it's a new job, a new baby, whatever the new thing in life is, we want to celebrate that together. We take 3 minutes. If you're online, put your celebration in the YouTube comments or the Facebook comments, wherever you're tuning in, what platform you're on, whatever, put them in the comments. We want to celebrate with you. We believe that God joins with us in these celebrations. So take 3 minutes, just slip up your hand and they'll bring you a mic.
Hello world, wake me up to another good morning time
I'm
to go.
Koonce, I'm an alcoholic, and tomorrow I'll be celebrating 6 months sober.
All right, Tisha, 6 months.
My name is Jasmine. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and on the 16th, I celebrated 6 years of sobriety, and on the 19th, I started a new position at Cross Purpose as manager of recovery programs.
All right, Jasmine, congratulations.
My name's Patrick, and I got a lot of things to be grateful for, but tonight I have one of my best friends here with me for the first time, and that's my little sister, and I'm just like so elated that she's here with me tonight. So yeah, super
That's
grateful.
awesome, man. Merry Christmas.
I'm Connor, and I'm celebrating that my 10th birthday was 2 days ago.
All right, happy birthday, Connor. Way to go, buddy.
Melissa, alcoholic addict. I'm just grateful to be celebrating Christmas with my daughter for the first time since my rights were terminated.
All right, that's awesome. Congratulations, Melissa.
Hey guys, I'm Ben, and my son Carter wanted me to share that he has a new pet frog.
Way to go, Carter. We'll celebrate that, buddy.
My name's Riley, and it's my birthday today.
Happy birthday, Riley.
Happy birthday!
See, we don't just celebrate Jesus' birthday here. Darren, you got someone right? Fourth row. 1, 2, 3, 4. Michelle.
Hello, I'm Gina. I just wanted to celebrate tonight that my husband is here in attendance with me at Free.
All right, Gina. We're glad you're here.
Michelle, alcoholic. I was 7 months sober on Wednesday, and I have a new job offer that is going to do good things for me.
7 months sober and a new job. Way to go.
Hi, I'm Abby, and I just wanted to celebrate that my whole family is here. My mom is in active recovery. My sister is in active recovery. My husband is in active recovery, and I am in active recovery. So celebrating breaking family curses.
Congratulations. So cool.
Hi, I'm Beth. I'm an alcoholic, and God willing, December 26th will be 10 years.
All right. Congratulations.
I'm Trina. I'm a grateful alcoholic, and last month I celebrated 20 years. But I'm really happy because my son is celebrating 1 year in remission from cancer.
All right. Congratulations on both.
My name is Brian. I'm an addict. I'm an alcoholic. I have a whole lot of friends with me here tonight, and I have my parents here with me for the first time. So,
all right, first timers, welcome y'all. Glad you're here. And Brian is our guest storyteller later. Can't wait to have you up here, dude. Tammy Canada, ladies and gentlemen.
Hello. Hi,
It's good to
guys.
have you up
Welcome.
here. All right, shall we join with our online people?
There's a lot of celebrations online too
Yes.
this
Was
evening.
there?
Brian says, tomorrow brings me 18 months clean and sober.
All right, Brian. I got to move that so I can read. All right, Jackie says, I want to celebrate staying sober through another holiday season. This is the first year my kids are with their dad for Christmas Eve, and I'm able to handle it without drinking to numb the pain.
All right, Jackie.
Way to go, Jackie. Keep doing that. Glad you're with us tonight.
Hey, Stephanie, by the grace of God, I will be 5 years sober on December 30th, and I will spend New Year's Eve at the Chris Rock Dave Chappelle show. 2 days ago, my friend came home from rehab sounding clear and determined, so grateful.
All right, way to go, Stephanie. 5 years. Seth says, I was arrested 7 years ago today. Tonight I get to serve at 3 different Christmas Eve services. A pastor joining us from St. Louis, Missouri.
Yeah,
Seth, glad you're with us, dude. Glad you're sober.
Oh, hey, Maggie. I'm grateful to be celebrating with a sober father of 12 years. That's
All right,
a big
Maggie.
deal.
Way to go, Matt. Kay says, for the first time in 3 years, I'll be spending Christmas Day with my family. I'm so grateful. Kay, we're celebrating that with you.
That's a big deal. And Martha, celebrating how grateful we are that cousins Dara and Katie are together tonight. Yes, I saw
they're
Katie.
here tonight. Yeah.
Somewhere.
We'll celebrate that. Let's just do 1 or 2 more, shall we?
I think
Or
that's
is that it? Oh, that's
Yeah.
it. I didn't see the red dot. Thank you for joining me up here, Tammy.
Welcome.
So, we are changing things a little bit tonight because, check it out, for the first time ever in Free's history, long history of 4 years, we are going to sing together tonight at the end of the service. So I hope y'all have a candle. If you don't have a candle at that time, later on at the end, our home team members will get you a candle, but we're going to raise a candle, talk about light breaking through the darkness as we sing Silent Night and as Mickey leads us in Silent Night. Thank you for being here, Mickey. Yeah, are we clapping for that? We are a clapping community tonight. So y'all, light, God's light, comes breaking through the darkness, and it's good. You know, it was a Christmas Day in 2012. That was my last drunk Christmas. And you know, we got up that day and we headed over to my sister and brother-in-law's house with their 3 kids. And at the time, they lived up in Longmont, Colorado. And you know, I should tell you, nothing bad happened that day to trigger me to start drinking. Nothing bad happened the night before. In fact, the night before, it was good. I preached at 5 Christmas Eve services at the church where I was serving as a pastor. Christmas Day started out fine, but I started to drink because that's what I did. I got drunk because that's what I did. Nothing triggered me. That's just what I did. I as an alcoholic, I didn't know how to do life without picking up a drink. And you know, later that night, as we were getting ready to head back home, my sister, she pulled me outside on her front porch and she had some hard words for me. Words that were at the time really hard to hear, but today I'm grateful for those words that she said, you know what I mean? And she took me outside and she said, Ryan, I don't want you coming around anymore. And I was thinking to myself inside, like, me? You don't want me coming around? Do you know who I am? I'm your brother. Not only am I your brother, I'm a pastor. What do you mean you don't want me coming around? And she said to me, yeah, Ryan, I don't want my kids to see you like this anymore. And man, that one hurt. Because Selah, our oldest daughter, she was 2.5 at the time. Tammy, my wife, was 8 months pregnant. Our second baby girl was on the way. And if you don't think I can be around your kids, well, what do you think about me as a father? And I remember that evening so vividly. I mean, I was drunk, but I remember most of it. And it was dark. And it was hopeless. And I felt so alone. And I felt so much shame. I was full of shame. Because I did not know how to be a sober husband and not bring chaos into the family. I didn't know how to be a sober father. I didn't know how to be a sober pastor. And yet we're told that the Christmas promise says light's coming into the darkness. It's going to come busting through the darkness. But does it ever feel too good to be true? You know, and I should admit to you that I started to experience glimmers of that light about 2 weeks later, on January 7th of 2013, when I got sober, when I started surrounding myself with people in recovery who started showing me the way out of the chaos. They were always pointing me to a God that was bigger than me, and I really needed that. And they were able to love me when I didn't know how to love myself. But even then, y'all, in early recovery, some of y'all can relate to this, I was so afraid. Man, I was afraid of everything. I knew how to talk about God, but I didn't know God. I was afraid of God. I was afraid of people. I would walk into a room and I would hope no one would see me, and I had so much social anxiety. And I was afraid of myself. I didn't know how to sit with myself, and I hated myself much less did I know how to even like myself, how to be alone. And you know, the Christmas promise of God coming into our world says, but don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. New life is coming and we start in the dark. Or as the author and theologian Barbara Brown Taylor says, she says, new life starts in the dark. Whether it is a seed in the ground, a baby in the womb, or Jesus in the tomb, it starts in the dark. So my brothers and sisters, where do you find yourself this Christmas? Are you longing for light to come and break through the darkness? Because tonight, man, we're told tonight's the big night. Tomorrow's the big day. Jesus, the baby Jesus being born into the world. But maybe for you that question is still lingering. Like, yeah, but does it really change anything? Does an ancient story really change anything? And see, I imagine Joseph and Mary, the parents of Jesus. Remember Mother Mary, the one carrying Jesus? You know, they made their way into Bethlehem. They made a journey, and I can imagine them asking each other a very similar question. Like, man, we're told something new is coming into the world, that I'm actually carrying a baby that's going to change the world, and good news is coming, hope is coming. But really, is it going to change anything? Because let's just be honest. The story of God being born into the world, it's a pretty wild claim, isn't it? That the birth of a baby boy to some unwed teenager in some podunk small town could possibly matter. And y'all don't miss that. Because that's the beauty of the story right there. Don't ever let any religious leaders tell you that they know exactly where God is found. And God is always found in big fancy church buildings and among the holy and the righteous people. In this story, God is found among the most unlikely people at the most unexpected place at the most unexpected time. God's light comes breaking into the darkness, and it's good. And by the way, Jesus is born. And when is it announced to the shepherds? Remember the shepherds in the field? We looked at this story 2 weeks ago, but I want to look at it one more time and go a little bit deeper into it and catch what we might have missed. When is it announced to the shepherds? Luke's Gospel, chapter 2, just 3 verses. Nearby shepherds were living in the fields, guarding their sheep at when? At night, in the darkness. Very important detail. The Lord's angel stood before them. The Lord's glory shone around them, and they were terrified, surrounded by God and being terrified. Hold on to that word. We're going to come back to it. The angel said, "Don't be afraid. Look, I bring good news to you, wonderful, joyous news for all people." And what's the good news? Notice what the angels aren't proclaiming. They're not proclaiming a God who's just hovering over us somewhere up there, waiting for us to screw up, waiting for us to get it wrong so that this God can put more shame on us. This God can give us punishment. This God can get us in trouble. They don't proclaim a God who is somewhere up there distant, removed and unaffected by real suffering in the world. Now, they proclaim a God. The good news is God came to be with us, and every human emotion that we have came to be with us in all the vulnerabilities in our darkness. Yeah, that's good news, isn't it? In the darkness of your addiction, God with us. In the darkness of watching your loved ones battle addiction, God with us. Even in the struggle of trying to believe in a power greater than you, and I hope you know that struggle is welcome here, God with us. God is with us in all the mess and all the darkness, and that's Christmas. Keep it simple. But see, we do have to understand the darkness because new life starts there. And you know Luke's gospel that we just read from, Luke was talking to his people. And who were his people? They were the people of the first century living in the midst of the Roman Empire, the most powerful empire the world has ever seen. And do you remember, for those of you that took history class in high school, remember studying the Roman Empire? What happened in the year 70 AD? Do you remember? Very important date in history. The Romans came in and they totally turned the city of Jerusalem, their city who Luke is talking to, turned their city into dust. Totally desecrated it. Totally destroyed their temple. And if you were a first century Jew living in Jerusalem, the temple for you was everything. It was the very center of life. And so you can imagine the questions they might be asking. Like, man, is there even a God? Did we just get all this God stuff wrong? And are we alone? And is this the end? Is this like the end of an age? And maybe you've asked some similar questions recently. And by the way, what's Luke's response to them? He says, look, y'all, I know it's been some tough days. It's some dark days, but this is a new day. How does Luke open up his gospel? How does he start his gospel? With the story of the birth of Jesus. Why? because he wants to make it real clear to them that this isn't the end. This is the beginning. And y'all, they would have had 1,000 different reasons why they shouldn't listen to this story, why they shouldn't believe in this story. Man, come on, dude. Do you know what's just happened? Are you living in reality? Did you see what the Romans, did you see what they did to us? Look at our city. And maybe you have 1,000 different reasons why you shouldn't listen to this story, why you shouldn't believe this story. Come on, man. Do you see what's happened? Are you watching the news? Do you see what's happening in the world? Do you see the world we're living? Have you looked at our city? You know, on Sunday night, Tammy and I, we turned on the TV to watch This Is Life with Lisa Lang. Anyone seen that? It's a docuseries on CNN, and she covers some really important topics, some really important issues, and she does a great job. I highly recommend it. And a new episode just came out this week, and it was called We Have a Drinking Problem. Speaking of cities, you know what city she was highlighting? It was filmed here in Denver, Colorado. She let us know that Denver is one of the binge drinking capitals of the country. She let us know that 1 in 10 deaths among Americans between the age of 20 and 64 are due to alcohol abuse. She interviewed different doctors and physicians on this episode, and one of the doctors said, for the first time in my medical career, I am seeing young ladies in their 20s having cirrhosis of the liver, and I've never seen that. They told us that since 2020, the number of people added to the list of waiting for a liver transplant in America shot up 325%. And yeah, COVID's had a lot to do with this. And by the way, she wasn't even touching drug addiction in this episode, just alcoholism. One of the doctors said, alcohol is the biggest problem in America right now, and it's a problem no one's talking about. To which I responded by yelling at the TV screen, apparently you haven't been to Free Spiritual Community, because we talk about this stuff here. And the truth is, in this community, we're familiar with darkness, aren't we? Yeah. Yeah, we know the pain and the chaos created by addiction. We know the death of this fentanyl crisis that we're currently facing. We've lost people in this community this year to a fentanyl overdose, good people. And for you loved ones in the room, for you loved ones watching, you also know the pain and destruction, the darkness of this disease of addiction. And in this community, we know something about light breaking into the darkness. We know something about God being with us in that darkness, finding us exactly where we are among the most unlikely people. Is it true? You say, well, how do you know this? Listen, if you battled addiction, if you've been in the depths of the darkness of hell, and yet somehow, by some miracle, you are here tonight and you are clean and sober, would you be willing to stand up where you are? Yeah, go ahead. Now, will y'all just look around at these hundreds of miracles in the room? Miracles. And look around and then tell me we don't believe in the story of light breaking through the darkness. Y'all give yourself a hand. Come on now. This is recovery. You can be seated. God's light comes breaking into the darkness, and it's good. And I want to close with this because it's interesting to note, going back to that Luke's text of the shepherds. Good news is announced to the shepherds at night, and we're told that they're terrified. They're terrified at good news. They're surrounded by God's good news and they're terrified. And maybe you can relate to this. Maybe you're here and you're clean and sober, but it's early and you're not convinced. You're not sure that you're not going to go home tonight and pick up a drink. You're not sure you're not going to use. And you're just a little terrified. Or maybe you're not sure if your boy is safe tonight and what street he's on and what drugs are in his body. Or you're not sure if your wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other is going to make a mess of things again this year because of their addiction, and you're just kind of terrified. But here's what's really fascinating. Do you know in the New Testament, that Greek word terrified, and y'all do know the New Testament, remember, is written in the Greek, so what we read now is an English translation of the Greek. That word terrified can also be translated as awe or awestruck. Yeah, that's fascinating, isn't it? So the story could read that the shepherds received or heard this good news and they were filled with awe, or they were awestruck and they took off running to Bethlehem to see the new thing that was happening. And that's interesting, isn't it? Because it makes you wonder. In that moment and during a time when things were really dicey for them, were they overtaken by fear and cynicism? Or were they overcome with awe and wonder? Because see, the Christmas season, I mean, it's supposed to be, right? We're told it's supposed to be a time that's filled, a season filled with awe and wonder. And in fact, it's why I love seeing my kids at Christmas. Because even now in this moment, you can see little bricks. Every moment for them is filled with awe and wonder. Every moment. You know, I saw it just this week. We were headed home. I was driving little Bricks, our 3-year-old boy. He was in the back seat. And it was one of those moments. Yeah, there he is. It was one of those moments. We had the Christmas music going, and he was pointing out every Santa Claus, every reindeer, every Christmas light. I mean, just a moment of awe and wonder. And I turned down the music because sometimes I'll just ask him the most ridiculous question and see how he responds. And I said, Bricks, man, tell me, how did I get so lucky to have a little boy like you? And without skipping a beat, with all the awe and wonder he could muster, he said, I don't know, Poppy. I guess because God mated me. And y'all, what if we could, as adults, recapture that awe and wonder? I mean, what if we could live that? What if we could hear God saying to us, man, how did I get so lucky to have a bunch of sons and daughters like you? And what if we responded in all that awe and wonder? I don't know, God, maybe because you created us, you made it us. And if we could recapture some of that awe. But y'all know as well as I do, life has a way of coming along and beating that awe and wonder out of us, doesn't it? And something bad happens. You get betrayed. You lose someone or something. Things don't go the way you expected them to go. And what do? You pull back. Your heart starts to get a bit hardened. You start telling yourself, man, I just can't trust people. Man, I can't trust God. And so what do? You retreat deeper into your cynicism, and your cynicism keeps you from experiencing Christmas. The new thing that God is doing, the light breaking into your darkness, and your cynicism keeps you from getting and staying clean and sober. Your cynicism keeps you from going deeper into your relationships. Your cynicism keeps trying to convince you that you're always right and they're always crazy. And your cynicism says to you that this God stuff, it's just a big fairy tale and it's just opiate among the masses. And why would I give myself to that? And yet, here you are with all your toes and phalanges and breath. Here you are. And see, your cynicism reminds you of that stark truth that 108,000 Americans died of an opioid overdose this year. And your cynicism dashes your hope. And you start saying, man, screw it. I give up. He or she is just going to become another statistic anyway. You see, my brothers and sisters, don't let your cynicism keep you from hearing the message, the good news shouted by the angels. Don't be afraid. Joy is coming. New life is coming, and it's for everyone. God hasn't forgotten about you. God is with you even in the mess, even in the darkness. And see, tonight, how will you make sense of the story? The Christmas story. We could go around and argue the facts and how it really happened and what things didn't happen and how we read it. How will you interpret the story? Will you give yourself to fear and cynicism? Or will you give yourself to awe and wonder? You see, tonight, will you open yourself to light, God's light, breaking through your darkness? And I have to tell you, don't just stop there. Don't stop with just that question. Push it further. Will you become that light in the darkness of others who so badly need it? Will you become God's light? And you might say, oh, Pastor, don't get too rowdy on us here. You know we can't start playing the role of God. Remember, it was Jesus in John's gospel who at the end of his life said to his followers, his disciples, he said, you will do even greater things than I. Apparently, Jesus had all kinds of faith in people. Do you? You see, if you keep that light just to yourself, well, good. But it doesn't really change much, does it? You start becoming that light in a dark world for people who desperately need it. Well, that's a story that can change everything. God's light comes breaking into our darkness, and it's good. It's good. So I want to give you a moment to reflect on light breaking into your darkness, and how will you become that light? Do you believe that light is possible? With a song going all the way back to 2005 by the Goo Goo Dolls, whose lead singer is now in recovery, by the way. This song is called Better Days. All right, y'all, if you're new with us tonight, you need to know that every single Saturday night we have a guest storyteller who joins me up in the living room to share some of their experience, strength, and hope with us. And tonight, I can't wait for y'all to meet my friend Brian Koonce, who's here. And I told him, I said, listen, Brian, I want to have you back besides this night, because this night we're going to keep things a little bit shorter. So I want to take 5 minutes. Usually we take more like 15 minutes, but I want you to, in 5 minutes, tell us the powerful story of light breaking into the darkness of your addiction. I can't wait for you to meet Brian, and he's going to share that story with you. We have some things in common. We both had a brother that was taken by this disease of addiction. Brian's been sober for 3 years now. 3 years now, right, Brian? Y'all help me welcome Brian up to the living room. Brian Koonce. Come on up here, bud. Glad you're here, dude.
Glad to be here.
Now, Brian's from Texas.
That's right.
I'm from Missouri. But if you hear a little southern twang, it's Texas coming out of them.
It's good to be here.
Yeah. Glad you're here, Brian. So, Brian, I want you to tell us that story of light breaking into the darkness. What was that like?
Let's do it. Before I start, I just want to say, and I think it's fitting that you mentioned some of those statistics of overdose and cirrhosis and whatnot. First off, I just want to say my heart goes out to anyone out there who has lost someone as a result of addiction or alcoholism, or anyone that has just lost someone in general. I know what that feels like, as Ryan just mentioned. I'll never forget the night that the police came to our house to inform my mom and me that my brother had died. He was just 23 and he died from a heroin overdose. The cops came to the house and let us know. I was 17 at the time, and in that moment I lost my brother and I lost my absolute best friend. And so I know what that pain feels like. So if anyone out there is going through a loss, my heart, my prayers are honestly with you, especially over the holiday season. I know how difficult that can be. I mention that because it has some relevance to the story I'm about to share. So I've struggled with substance abuse my entire life. I say I was an equal opportunity user and abuser of all substances. It was always just more. In and out of jail, in and out of prison, in and out of treatment centers. I've wrecked more cars than I care to mention. I've overdosed a few times. I've just fought a long losing battle with addiction for many, many years. So fast forward to November 12th of 2019. And again, this is another night I will never forget. I had just been released from jail. I was serving time in Jefferson County Jail on charges for manufacturing and distribution. And on November 12th, I was released from jail. And typically you would think this would be a happy, joyous day. For me, it was actually a little bit of the opposite. As I'd mentioned, I had done this before. It was more depression for me. It was dark. Here I was 37 years old, getting released from jail, and I'd lost everything. I was in this very dark, very desolate, lonely place. And so I did what I do. That night I traveled to, there's a 24-hour Walmart in Aurora. And I go to this Walmart, and people have to ask me, why'd you go to Walmart? Well, because I'm a tweaker, and that's what we do. We go to Walmart.
Preach.
Seriously, some of y'all seen Peoples at Walmart. You probably see me on the show even. But I go to Walmart, and I go inside, and I buy a box of 100 syringes. And I go back out to my van. This is all I own, is this old junky 1997 just Ford van that barely ran, but I was not only driving this van, I was living in this van. It was all I had. And I go back out to my van with those syringes, and I take all the dope that I have and I load it up into the syringe. And I'm in this very dark, very lonely place, and I was tired. I was tired of fighting, And in that moment, I said this silent prayer. I said to myself, it would just be pretty nice if I didn't wake up tomorrow. And I meant that. I meant that. And I registered and I did that shot. And well, as y'all can probably guess, I woke up. I came to, right? I came to, and now all those feelings that I had were even more amplified. I still felt even more lone, even more darker, even more desperate. But now I felt like not only a failure at living, but I felt like a failure at dying too. And I was just at a loss. I was just at a total loss. And so what was I to do? I didn't know. I got in my van and I started driving around in circles in Denver. I had no idea where I was going. The tears were flowing and I was yelling at God, now what? Now what do I do? Now what? What am I supposed to do now? And I didn't have a plan, and I honestly don't remember doing this, but I hop on Highway 36 and I head towards Estes Park. And the reason I did that, I can't really tell you why, other than the fact that my parents live in Estes Park. So I drive to Estes Park, and I get to their house, and it's dark, which is a pretty symbolic metaphor of everything that was really going on in my life. It was dark outside, but it was really dark inside. And I think some of you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. I was dark, I was alone, and I pull up to their house. And when I get to their house, they're doing construction on the front of their house. My folks live in this house, and it kind of sits on a cliff, right? So it kind of sits on stilts, and they were doing construction on the front of their house. So I made my way down the back steps through the darkness, and when I get to the back sliding glass door, there's a note taped on the window, or on the sliding glass window door, and it says, "In case of an emergency, call." And it has my mom and my stepdad's phone number listed. And I thought, well, that's strange. I knock on the door, and within moments, my mom and my dad appear with obvious worry on their face and concern. And my mom says, "What are you doing here?" And I didn't know what to say. I wasn't even sure what I was doing there. I wasn't sure. I didn't make a decision to go there. I just felt like a force brought me to that point. But the follow-up question she asked me is one that resonated with me. She said, "Do you know why I put that note on the door?" And I said, "No, I don't." She said, "Because last night I had this premonition. Last night this feeling of doom came over me. This mother's intuition came to me. And I couldn't sleep because I had this feeling that my son had died from a drug overdose. And I put that note on there because I was afraid law enforcement were going to have to come in the middle of the night to tell me I had lost another son to an overdose." And she was worried that the construction on the front porch, the police weren't going to be able to reach her. And in that moment, I lost it, man. I absolutely lost it. I mean, how awesome is that? The very night where I decide I don't want to carry on any further, the very night where I say a silent prayer of, I can't do this. It would be nice if I didn't wake up. My mother gets this mother's intuition that I have died and I have passed on. And all I remember was hugging my mom and hugging my dad, and I just lost it. I mean, crying, snot slinging, tears, and I muttered the three words that changed the trajectory. They were a game changer, changed the trajectory of my whole life. I said these three words: "I need help." And in that moment, I felt the light come in. In that moment, I felt the surrender, and I just knew God had entered into my life. And the very next day, I found myself at Harmony Treatment Center in Estes Park, and I was in detox, thanking myself for coming to this point. And I got to tell you guys, the rest is history, because I've been clean for over 3 years, and I now work at that same treatment center as an alumni coordinator. Woo!
So, Brian, in closing, I can promise you there's someone here tonight, or there's someone online joining us tonight, and they're joining us on the YouTube or the Facebook, and dude, they're sitting in their living room, or they're sitting in one of these rows, and they're barely hanging on. They are not certain tonight's not going to be a night where they pick up, that they keep going in the deadly disease of this addiction. For someone who's like resisting that light breaking through their darkness, what do you say to them?
First and foremost, I just want to give them a hug and say I love them. And don't lose that hope, because I promise you, if a junkie like me, if a person like me can find recovery, anybody can. And I'm going to tell you, God is always with you.
That's a good word, dude. Thank you for being here, Brian Koonce. Thanks for that, brother. And I'm serious. I want you to come back and share the full story with us because I know there's so much more. As we sat on the couch, it's been a couple of hours now of us just chit-chatting, and there's so much more goodness to the story, and
So
I want
much
to hear
more.
it. So you'll come back and join us.
I will, absolutely.
Thank you, Brian. All right. Glad you're here. Oh, I'll take that from you. All right, guys, before we sing Silent Night, we've got to keep some traditions around here. You know what I mean? So we always end a Saturday night with heartaches, the same way we do celebrations. Because what we see over and over and over, and especially at the holidays, is some of us are carrying these really heavy burdens. Burdens that you don't have business carrying on your own because we suck at carrying these things on our own. We're no good at it. We have to do it together as a community. And we have this crazy belief around here that God always hears the cries of the people. So we lift these heartaches up. We take 3 minutes. And again, Rashad and Darren will pass around a mic. If you have a burden that you're carrying, you don't have to give us the whole dissertation on it, but just a few sentences around it. We would love to pray for you throughout this week. We would love to lift you up in a whole community of people gathering with you. So let's take 3 minutes. Again, if you're online, just put it in the Facebook comments, the YouTube comments, and we'll heartache with you there. Thank you, Rashad.
Kristen, alcoholic. I just wanted to hold up my friend's father who had a complete knee replacement this week and is dealing with a lot of pain, and just help to take that away. Thanks.
All right. Prayers for them, Kristen. Thank you for that.
My dad recently went out on a relapse, and he's not going to be home for Christmas, so just prayers that he finds his way home.
Prayers for your dad. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Hi, my name is Sean. I'm an alcoholic. I would just like to ask for any prayers for my grandmother who has recently fallen sick.
All right. Prayers for your grandma. Thank you for sharing with us, Sean. Everyone got quiet all of a sudden.
Dara, do you want to go?
My name is Karen, and I'd like to ask for prayers for Brian's brother and my son John, who has stage 4 colon cancer.
All right. Prayers for your entire family. Prayers for him.
Hi, my name is Carly, and I am part of a handful of online 12-step programs, and I know of a handful of elderly people who are home bedridden and or in wheelchairs who don't have family or people with them. So just prayers for them on this holidays for their loneliness.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Carly. Prayers for all those who are lonely.
Hi, I'm Chase. I'd like to share with a family member that's struggling with Alzheimer's and would like just lift her up in prayer, Grandma Jean.
Thank you for that, Chase. Prayers for them. Prayers for the family. Anyone else?
I have one. My dad has been sick on and off since before Thanksgiving, and last week he was diagnosed with bronchitis, but it wasn't quite right, so we went back again. They did a full exam, and he has bilateral pneumonia, and he said it's the worst he's felt in his whole life, so prayers for my dad.
Tammy, prayers for your dad. Very important member of our family.
Prayers for my friend Ben. Just haven't talked to him in a few days, and another friend hasn't talked to him either, so just hoping he's alright.
Prayers for Ben. Thank you for sharing.
I'm Dara. I just want to lift up my friend Carter's family. This is our first birthday with him gone and our first Christmas with him gone. He passed away to a fentanyl overdose last year, so I'm struggling with that, and I know that his family and his little boy is too.
Yeah, prayers for the family. Thank you for sharing that with us, Dara. Lifting them up this evening and this week, this season. Thank you, Dara, for joining me up here. for heartaches. You want to take the first one? Is that on?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. Here we go. First one was from Christy. Thoughts and prayers for friends who have lost parents lately, praying they have peace and sweet memories of their parents. Thank you, Christy.
Yeah, prayers for them. Jen says, prayers for those still living in the darkness of despair of active addiction. Yes, I pray they find their way to recovery and healing. We join you in that prayer, Jen. Thank you for lifting them up.
Next, we have Mike. Missing my dad this first Christmas without him and struggling with having to put my mom in assisted living, even though I know it's for the best. That's a really hard decision. Our prayers are with you.
Yeah, prayers for you, Mike. Glad you're part of this community. As Stephanie says, I'm praying for everyone who has reached out for help for their addiction. Keep going. We're joining with you in that prayer, Stephanie. Thank you for lifting them up. Thank you for being up here and passing the mic, Darren and Rashad. It's good to have you all here.
I have one additional one.
Yeah, do it.
I'd just like to say a special prayer for, in the work of addiction, there's a lot of people doing the work. And there's a lot of burden on those people to help and help and help and help and help. And it can get overwhelming sometimes. So just realize that and reach out to the people who have helped you and just give them a word of encouragement and how much it meant to them that you helped them, that they helped you. It renews their cup, it refills their cup, and it's so important.
Thank you for that, Darren. Absolutely true. Yeah, we can clap for that. Y'all, I want to say a word about giving for just a moment, and I want you to know that your giving here, it matters. It's really important. We don't exist without your giving. I know some of you have made it a spiritual practice in your life to give, and it's sacrificial giving on your part, and it's really how we stay here and how we keep doing the mission here of breaking the silence of addiction. I hope you know how important it is to Denver, Colorado, and to the entire world, actually, and really without your generous giving in this community, we don't exist. And thank you for those of you that have made it a part of your giving. I do want to let you know if you feel compelled to give here, if you want to donate here, there's 3 ways to give. You can first go to the app. It's free to download. It's called Free Spiritual Community, and you can donate there, and you can do a one time or weekly, monthly, however you want to do it, or you can go right to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com/give. And you can give there, or you can text the number on your screen and it'll walk you through a simple set of instructions. Or there is the 4th way, and that is there's 2 giving boxes, one by this door and one just outside of this door. And if you want to, if you're the cash type people who carry cash on you, well, those boxes, that's what that's for, cash or check. So seriously, thank you all for giving in this community. It makes a huge difference. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And we are going to move into our candle lighting silent night portion of the service. And I want to give a little bit of instruction because we are messing with fire in here. So if the home team members, and by the way, if you need a candle, this is the time to raise up your hand. Raise your hand if you need a candle. Carly's going to bring you one. Now, they're going to light the end of the rose. And then you're going to light the person next to you. We are all going to get lit up together. Not the right thing to say in this community, but y'all know what I mean. Now, if you are the one that's being lit, you will dip your candle towards the fire. Don't make the other person do it because wax will get everywhere. So you dip towards them, light your candle, and then let the next person light off of you. And we're all going to light this world up together to prove that recovery works, to prove that there is a light that shines in the darkness. And I want to begin, if y'all can just stay quiet for one moment. I want to begin. We have a candle behind me on this coffee table, and we're going to light it to remember all those who have been taken this year by this brutal disease of addiction. So do hold them and their families in your prayers this season.
in heavenly peace. Sleep in heavenly peace. Silent night. Holy night. Shepherds quake at the sight. Glory streams from heaven afar. Heavenly hosts singing hallelujah. Christ the Savior is born. Christ the Savior is born. Silent night. Holy night. Son of God, love's pure light, radiant beams from thy holy face, with the dawn of redeeming grace. Jesus, Lord, at thy birth, Jesus, Lord, at thy birth. Silent night. Holy night. All is calm. All is bright. Round a young virgin, mother and child. Holy infant, so tender and mild. Sleep in heavenly
Selah is carrying the Christ candle out of here and into the world because, as we're reminded in John's gospel, light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not overcome it. I invite you to just open your hands. It's a sign of openness, a sign of being open to God's light that's always moving in the midst of our world. It's always moving in the midst of who you are. It's all around you. It's in you. It's moving through you. Are you aware of it? And let's close with the St. Francis prayer, also known as the 11th step prayer, reminding us to be the light in the world. So if you don't know it, it's on your screen. It goes like this. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen. My free brothers and sisters, as you leave this place and go out into the world, may you experience light breaking into your darkness. May you experience all kinds of grace and peace because of that. And may you go out into the world and be the light wherever darkness exists. And Merry Christmas to you. We will see you in 2 weeks. Merry Christmas, everyone.